At 2 in the morning, a gas station or a brightly lit convenience store stops feeling like a normal workplace. It becomes a liminal space. The rest of the world is asleep, leaving you isolated in a fluorescent box, totally disconnected from the safety of the daytime. That extreme isolation carries a heavy psychological weight. Every minor sound, a compressor kicking on, gravel shifting outside, is amplified in the vacuum of the night. It breeds a constant, low-level paranoia that you can't quite shake. But sometimes that paranoia is entirely justified. For a specific type of predator, the total isolation of the night shift serves as a primary weapon. Late-night crime is often assumed to be smash-and-grab robberies, quick crimes of opportunity. But night shift workers are frequently targeted by calculated, multi-stage psychological traps, engineered specifically to exploit their vulnerability. These operations break down into 3 distinct phases: observation, manipulation, and the siege. When a worker suddenly feels a heavy sense of dread, it is rarely an overreaction to the dark. It is a primal evolutionary warning system, recognizing that a structured predatory tactic is already underway. Phase 1 is observation. Predators watch from the shadows to test boundaries. They want to see how the worker reacts to minor anomalies and, most importantly, confirm that their target is truly alone. Take the case of a young gas station attendant working a solo closing shift. Out of nowhere, the store phone rings. A disguised voice on the other end starts taunting him. The caller recites specific details about how quiet the store has gotten, proving he is actively watching from somewhere outside in the dark. This remote surveillance soon escalates into physical presence. Shortly after the calls, a man walks into the store. He doesn't buy much. Instead, he wanders aimlessly, deliberately popping up from behind the shelving units to stare directly at the attendant, probing for a reaction. As he finally leaves, the man pauses at the door, looks back, and flashes a highly deliberate, knowing smile. He then walks outside and disappears perfectly into the exact blind spot of the building's exterior security cameras. The goal of this opening phase is entirely psychological. By keeping the behavior just ambiguous enough, the predator forces the victim to rationalize the creepy actions as normal. This gaslights the worker into a state of self-doubt, paralyzing them from calling for help or locking the doors until it's too late. If the target remains vulnerable, the operation moves to phase 2, manipulation. Here, predators exploit the ingrained social contracts of customer service. As an employee, you are conditioned to be helpful, polite, and responsive to anyone who asks. One attendant experienced this when a man appeared at 2:30 a.m., claiming his car broke down near the highway. The man asked the worker to step outside and help him check under the hood. When the worker checked the exterior monitors, he spotted an accomplice crouching in the shadows right behind the allegedly broken-down car, waiting in ambush. The most dangerous manipulation tactic relies on a false savior. In an empty Walmart, a female employee realized she was being stalked by a man in the aisles.
Suddenly, a friendly, overly familiar woman grabbed her arm, whispered that the man was recording her, and offered to help her escape. The worker clung to this apparent ally. But the woman didn't lead her toward the front registers or security. Instead, she leveraged the victim's immediate trust to physically steer her away from the main store aisles, pulling her directly toward an unmonitored warehouse loading exit. The stalker in the main aisle was never the primary threat. He was acting as a sheepdog, applying pressure to drive the terrified victim straight into the arms of the decoy, who was waiting to guide her out the back door. When psychological games run their course, or if manipulation fails, the operation enters its final phase, the siege. This is where the trap is forcefully sprung and physical coordination takes over. For one bartender working at a quiet highway dive, the trap was set over a period of weeks.
A sophisticated, wealthy-seeming man and his female associate visited the bar multiple times, asking highly specific, probing questions about her age, her schedule, and the fact that she worked alone. The operation climaxed on a slow Tuesday night. Right at closing time, the female associate entered the bar alone, sitting at the counter and ordering a complex drink. She acted as a deliberate conversational distraction, holding the bartender's attention at the front of the room. Simultaneously, a synchronized assault began at the rear of the building. Masked men started violently rattling and hammering on the heavy metal back door. The goal was to terrify the bartender and flush her out the front entrance, where a black van was already idling with its engine running. This violent escalation shatters the illusion of the lone creep. The victim is caught in a highly coordinated, multi-person pincer movement. Survival in these scenarios rarely comes down to company policy. These targets escaped entirely through luck, like the sudden, unexpected arrival of a bar manager, or by actively breaking social norms, violently yanking their arm away from a friendly customer and screaming for help. When police investigated the aftermath of these incidents, they uncovered a chilling pattern. They found unregistered license plates, vehicles reported stolen hundreds of miles away, and security footage showing entirely hidden teams of masked accomplices waiting patiently in the blind spots. Security footage later revealed the stalker and the savior entered the store together. They even knew the victim's name. This was a targeted, premeditated hunting operation. Corporate safety protocols rely on a reactive model. Cameras and under-counter panic buttons are designed to record a robbery or call police after a crime has started. They are entirely inadequate against organized psychological warfare, designed to lure employees off camera and off property before a crime technically occurs. When the rest of the world is asleep, a brightly lit store sign acts as a beacon in the dark. It signals exactly where an isolated person can be found, leaving a night shift worker's own raw intuition as their absolute last line of defense.